Mom, I'm going to need you to step aside. This platinum card is probably fake. We don't serve your type here. The words hung in the air like poison. Every head in Global Financial Bank's flagship Capital City branch turned. Phones emerged from pockets. A woman behind the counter started live streaming. Dr. Tina Miller stood perfectly still. Her tailored navy suit cost more than the teller's monthly salary. Her briefcase was titanium alloy. Her watch was a limited edition timepiece worth $180,000. But John Smith, senior teller with 3 years of experience, saw only her skin color. "Sir, the card verified successfully," Tina said quietly. "I need to wire $2.3 million. The deal closes in 47 minutes. John smirked. "Sure it does, lady. Have you ever watched someone's entire world change in 45 minutes? These real-life stories of quiet power happen more than you think, because what happened next would shake this bank to its foundation." Sofia Ramirez held her phone steady. The Black Truth Live view account climbed, 127, 340, 891. Her thumb typed frantically, "Karen Teller Vice Black businesswoman at Global Financial." "Mom, step aside," John repeated louder. His voice carried across the marble lobby. "Next customer, please." Tina Miller didn't move. At 45, she had built her reputation on calculated calm. CEO of Miller & Company for 12 years, $4.2 billion in annual revenue, government contracts spanning 3 continents. But right now, she was just another black woman being humiliated in public. "The transaction is legitimate," Tina said. Her voice remained steady, professional. "Here's my secondary identification." She placed her corporate credit card on the counter. Black Centurion. No preset spending limit, the kind banks beg clients to accept. John barely glanced at it. Branch manager Sarah Jenkins emerged from her office. 52 years old, 20-year veteran, Jenkins had handled difficult customers before, but the growing crowd made her nervous. "Is there a problem here?" Jenkins's tone was diplomatic. "For now, this woman claims she needs to wire millions," John said. "The amount doesn't match the, demographic." Sophia's live stream exploded with comments. "Did he just say demographic? This is straight racism. Sue them all." Jenkins studied Tina's identification. Her expression shifted. The diplomacy drained from her voice. "We have protocols for unusual transactions," Jenkins said coldly, "especially ones involving such large sums." Tina's phone buzzed. Text from her assistant. "Seller's getting nervous. Deal falling apart. Need wire now. 43 minutes left." She opened her briefcase with deliberate precision. Inside, acquisition contracts, due diligence reports, financial projections. A first-class boarding pass was tucked in the side pocket. "Private jet company, seat 1A. These are the acquisition documents," Tina explained. "Miller & Company is purchasing a tech startup. The wire transfer is for the closing." Jenkins flipped through the papers without reading them. Anyone can fake documents these days. The live stream view account hit 3,400. Comments flooded the screen faster than Sophia could read them. Someone had already screen recorded the interaction. It was spreading. Security guard Mark Davis approached. Ex-military, built like a linebacker. He'd been watching from across the lobby. "Everything okay here, Ms. Jenkins?" "Just some confusion about account verification," Jenkins replied. Tina pulled out her phone. Not her regular smartphone. This was different. Custom leather case embossed with an M&C. She speed-dialed a number. "Victoria, it's Tina. Code red. Global Financial Bank, 47th Street." She spoke quietly, but Sophia's phone caught every word. The live stream audience was riveted. 40 minutes until deadline. They're refusing to process a legitimate wire transfer. "Yes, that Victoria." Full legal response. Tina ended the call and looked directly at Jenkins. "Ms. Jenkins, I've banked with Global Financial for 8 years. My company has significant accounts here. This treatment is unacceptable." Jenkins's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, if you don't like our service, you're free to bank elsewhere." The crowd murmured. Phones recorded from multiple angles. Sophia's view account climbed past 5,000. A man in an expensive suit stepped forward. Robert Miller, civil rights attorney. He'd been waiting in line behind Sophia. "Excuse me," Robert said, "I couldn't help but overhear. Are you denying service based on racial profiling?" "This is none of your business," Jenkins snapped. "Actually, it is. I'm an attorney. This is a public accommodation, and I'm recording everything." Robert held up his phone. The bank's security cameras captured it all from overhead. Multiple witnesses, multiple recording devices, multiple angles of evidence. Jenkins realized the situation was spiraling beyond her control. But pride and prejudice made her double down. "Security protocols exist for a reason," she announced loudly. "We can't process questionable transactions just because someone makes accusations." The crowd's energy shifted. Customers began taking sides. Older patrons nodded approvingly at Jenkins's stance. Younger customers looked horrified. Sophia's live stream comments were brutal. "Global Financial Bank is racist AF. This woman needs to sue. I'm closing my account tomorrow." Local news producer Emily White had been depositing checks when the commotion started. Now she recorded with professional equipment. This was becoming a story. Tina checked her watch, 38 minutes remaining. Her second phone buzzed. CFO calling frantically. Opposing counsel threatening to walk. The acquisition was worth $200 million. 500 jobs hung in the balance. She answered professionally. "David, slight delay at the bank. The wire will process shortly." But privately, she was calculating. 8 years OF banking relationship. Hundreds OF millions OF deposits. Millions in fees generated. All about TO become weapons in a war Jenkins had started but couldn't finish. Tina looked at Jenkins with the quiet intensity of someone who had built an empire from nothing. "MS, Jenkins, let me ask you something. Do you know what Miller and CO does?" Jenkins shrugged dismissively. "Some small consulting firm, I assume." The crowd fell silent. Even Sophia stopped typing comments. "To listen." Tina smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. 47 floors above the street, Victoria Hayes hung up her phone and exploded into action. Chief Legal Officer O.F. Miller and CO, Ivy League law graduate, former federal prosecutor. When Tina Miller called code red, empires trembled. "Emergency protocol," Victoria announced to her team. "Discrimination case, Global Financial Bank, full documentation package. Now." 6 lawyers mobilized instantly. Paralegals printed civil rights complaint templates. Legal assistants pulled banking contracts. Associates researched punitive damage precedents. In the bank lobby, Sophia's live stream had become appointment viewing. 12,000 viewers watched in real time. The hashtag global financial racism started trending on Twitter. Regional manager Thomas Green arrived looking harried. Jenkins had called for backup when the situation escalated beyond her control. Green was old minus school banking, 48 years old, 25 years with Global Financial. He believed in hierarchy and order. "What's the situation?" Green asked Jenkins quietly. "Customer making unreasonable demands. Claims she needs to wire millions. Won't accept our security protocols." Green studied Tina from across the lobby. Expensive clothes, professional demeanor. But his unconscious bias aligned with his subordinate's judgment. I understand there's been some confusion," Green said, approaching with false friendliness. "I'm Thomas Green, regional manager. How can WE resolve this?" "Process MY wire transfer," Tina replied simply. 2.3 million. Legitimate business transaction. Green glanced at John Smith, who shook his head dismissively. "Our teller has concerns about the transaction size relative to the account history," Green explained. Robert Miller stepped closer. "Are you seriously suggesting account history determines service quality?" "We follow federal banking regulations," Green replied stiffly. "Show me the regulation that requires racial profiling." Robert shot back. The exchange was heating up. Sophia's phone captured every word. Comments flooded her screen. "This lawyer is destroying them. Bank management is doubling down on racism." Emily White, the news producer, recognized a breaking story. She called her assignment desk. I need a camera crew at Global Financial Bank, 47th Street. Major discrimination incident unfolding. Viral potential. Tina's phone buzzed again. Another text from her assistant. Sellers threatening to walk. Deal dies in 32 minutes without wire transfer. The pressure was mounting from all sides. But Tina Miller hadn't built a billion-dollar company by cracking under pressure. She opened her briefcase again. This time, she removed a thick folder marked Confidential Banking Relationships. Mr. Green, perhaps this will clarify things. She handed him a single document. Green's eyes widened as he read the header. But Jenkins interrupted before he could process the information. I don't care what paperwork she has. Jenkins declared. Bank policy is bank policy. The crowd was growing restless. More customers had stopped their transactions to watch the drama unfold. Bank tellers whispered among themselves. Even security looked uncomfortable. Sophia's live stream view account hit 15,000. Someone had shared it to Black Truth, where it exploded to 45,000 views in 90 seconds. The viral momentum was building exponentially. Hashtag global financial racism was trending in 3 cities. Tina's executive assistant arrived breathless from running 6 blocks. Olivia Park, Harvard MBA, carried a leather portfolio containing the acquisition contract. Ms. Miller, the sellers are getting nervous. Legal says we have 28 minutes before they invoke the deadline clause. This new information shifted the crowd's perception. Suddenly, this wasn't just about banking service. Real business was at stake. Jobs, investments, economic impact. Green finally focused on the document Tina had given him. His face went pale. Ms. Jenkins, we need to talk privately, he said urgently. No, Tina interrupted. This conversation stays public, just like your teller's discrimination. The power dynamic was shifting subtly. Green realized they were dealing with someone more sophisticated than he'd assumed, but pride prevented him from backing down completely. Ma'am, I apologize if our security protocols seem excessive, but in today's regulatory environment, we must be cautious with large transactions. Cautious with black customers, you mean? Robert Miller interjected. That's not what I said. Green protested. It's what you meant, Emily White added, still recording. The bank's corporate phone system lit up. Headquarters was fielding complaint calls. Social media mentions were spiking 400%. The public relations nightmare was expanding beyond the building. Tina checked her timepiece, 25 minutes remaining. She pulled out her M&C emergency phone again. This call was different. More deliberate, more final. Board meeting, emergency session, 1 hour. Yes, all 9 members. Global Financial Bank discrimination incident, potential contract termination. She spoke loudly enough for Green to hear every word. Shareholder notification required. $847 million relationship at risk. Green's mouth fell open. Did you say $847 million? Tina ended her call and faced him directly. Mr. Green, Miller & Company has banked with Global Financial for 8 years. We maintain significant deposits here. Your staff just refused to process a routine business transaction because of my race. Now, wait just a minute, Green began. No, you wait, Tina cut him off. Her voice remained calm, but steel crept into her tone. Your teller questioned my identity. Your manager dismissed my documentation. You backed their judgment without investigating. The lobby fell silent, except for the hum of Sophia's live stream comments. 17,000 viewers hung on every word. This is textbook discrimination, and it's being broadcast live to thousands of people. Green looked around desperately. The crowd had grown to over 30 people. Every phone was recording. The bank's reputation was hemorrhaging in real time. His corporate training kicked in, damage control mode. Dr. Miller, if I may call you that, let's step into my office and resolve this privately. No, Tina replied firmly. Your discrimination was public. The resolution will be public too. Olivia Park leaned closer to her boss. 22 minutes, Ms. Miller. Legal says the deal structure collapses if we miss the deadline. The pressure was enormous. $200 million acquisition, 500 job creation commitment, industry partnerships, all hanging in the balance. While bank employees debated whether a black woman deserved basic customer service, Tina made a calculated decision. Time for the nuclear option. She speed-dialed Victoria Hayes. Victoria, initiate full legal response. Discrimination documentation complete. Contract termination paperwork ready. Yes, all $847 million. She ended the call and looked directly into Sophia's phone camera. Ladies and gentlemen, you're witnessing institutional racism in real time. This is how systemic discrimination operates in corporate America. The live stream comments exploded. Say it louder. Make them pay. Justice for Dr. Miller. Green was panicking now. $847 million. If that number was accurate, they were facing the largest client relationship disaster in bank history. He grabbed his phone and called corporate headquarters, but it was too late. The elevator doors opened, and Victoria Hayes stepped into the lobby, flanked by two associates. She carried a thick leather portfolio and wore the expression of someone about to destroy careers. The real power had arrived. Victoria Hayes moved through the lobby like a shark cutting through water. 23 years of legal warfare had taught her how to project authority without saying a word. Her associates flanked her with military precision, each carrying identical leather portfolios. The crowd sensed something significant was happening. Sophia's live stream view count jumped to 22,000. Comments flooded the screen so fast they became a blur of outrage and anticipation. Ms. Miller, Victoria said calmly, I have the documentation you requested. She opened her portfolio and withdrew a thick folder marked, Confidential Client Relationship Analysis, Global Financial Bank, Complete Account Portfolio, Miller & Co. Holdings. Green reached for the folder with trembling hands. The first page made his knees weak. Account, Miller & Co. Portfolio value, $847 million. Annual fee generation, $23.4 million. The number hit the lobby like a thunderclap. Sophia's phone captured Green's face draining of color. The live stream audience went wild. 800 million. She's their biggest client. This bank is finished. Jenkins stepped closer, her arrogance cracking. That can't be right. Victoria's smile was surgical. Page 2 shows transaction history. 18 months of banking activity, every deposit, every wire transfer, every service fee. She handed Green a second document. Page 3 shows Miller & Co.'s economic impact on this branch specifically, 42% of quarterly revenue. The mathematics of power were undeniable. This wasn't just a customer service failure. This was corporate suicide. Robert Miller live streamed the revelation to his own followers. This woman they've been discriminating against owns almost $1 billion with this bank. Emily White's news crew arrived. Professional cameras capturing everything. The story was evolving from viral social media incident to major news event. Green's phone rang, corporate headquarters. He answered with shaking hands. Thomas Green. Yes, sir. I'm aware of the social media situation. $847 million. Let me confirm. He looked at the documents again, hoping the numbers would somehow change. They didn't. Yes, sir. That appears to be accurate. No, sir. The wire transfer hasn't been processed. Discrimination? I wouldn't call it. The corporate conversation was brief and brutal. Green hung up looking like he'd been fired. He probably had been. Tina watched the chaos with professional detachment. This was business. Calculated, precise, devastating. Mr. Green, she said quietly, in the past 18 months, Miller & Company has generated $23.4 million in fees for Global Financial Bank. Today, your staff refused to process a routine wire transfer because of my skin color. The crowd was riveted. Sophia's view count hit 30,000. The live stream had become the most watched discrimination incident in banking history. Ma'am, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding, Green began desperately. The misunderstanding is yours, Tina interrupted. Victoria, please read section 4.2.2 of our banking agreement. Victoria opened a different folder, legal documents with Global Financial's corporate seal. Her voice carried the authority of federal court. Section 4.2.2, Anti-Discrimination Clause. Any documented bias against Miller and Company principals or employees triggers immediate contract termination and punitive damages. The silence was deafening. 30,000 people watched Thomas Green realize his career was over. Furthermore, Victoria continued, Section 4.3 establishes liquidated damages of $5 million for each incident of discriminatory treatment. Jenkins's face went ashen. John Smith, who'd started this entire disaster, looked ready to vomit. Miller, the attorney, was live streaming his own legal analysis. She just hit them with a pre-negotiated discrimination clause. This bank agreed to pay $5 million if they treated her badly. The crowd erupted. Sophia's comment section exploded with fire emojis and celebration. The power dynamic had completely flipped. Tina's assistant, Olivia, checked her watch. 17 minutes, Ms. Miller. The sellers are threatening to walk. Time was still ticking. The acquisition deal hung in the balance, but now Tina held all the cards. Mr. Green, I need that wire transfer processed immediately. $2.3 million. The deal closes in 16 minutes. Green nodded frantically. Of course, Dr. Miller. Brad, process the transaction immediately. But John Smith stood frozen. The magnitude of his mistake was crushing him. He just discriminated against the bank's most valuable client, on camera, in front of 30,000 people. I don't know how, John stammered. Get someone who does, Victoria commanded. Her voice cut like a blade. Senior teller Maria Lopez pushed past John and began processing the wire transfer. Professional, efficient, colorblind. Transaction initiating, Dr. Miller. Verification complete. Processing now. The crowd watched $30,000 worth of banking competence in action. What should have taken 2 minutes 18 minutes ago was finally happening. But Tina wasn't finished. The discrimination had been public. The consequences would be equally public. Mr. Green, we need to discuss resolution beyond the wire transfer. Green nodded eagerly. Absolutely, whatever you need. 3 non-negotiables, Tina said, her voice carrying the authority of corporate boardrooms. First, public apology, filmed, posted on all bank channels. Second, immediate termination of discriminatory staff. Third, mandatory bias training, all branches, with external oversight. The live stream audience was eating it up. Comments flew. Make them pay. Justice served. CEO boss lady. Green's phone rang again. Headquarters. He answered reluctantly. Yes, sir. She wants a public apology. Terminations? She's demanding. Yes, sir. I understand the portfolio size. No, sir. We cannot afford to lose this relationship. He hung up and faced Tina with the expression of complete defeat. Dr. Miller, Global Financial Bank accepts your terms. The crowd erupted in cheers. Sophia's live stream became a celebration. 35,000 viewers witnessed institutional racism meeting corporate consequences. Victoria handed Green another document. Contract termination papers. If these terms aren't met within 24 hours, Miller and Company moves all accounts to Citibank. The threat was existential. $847 million walking out the door, $23 million in annual fees evaporating, stock price implications, board of directors questions, career-ending consequences. We'll comply immediately, Green promised. The wire transfer completed successfully. Olivia confirmed receipt with the acquisition team. The deal was back on track, with 12 minutes to spare. But the real victory was bigger than money. 35,000 people had watched systemic discrimination get dismantled in real time. They'd seen quiet power triumph over loud prejudice. Tina packed her briefcase with the same precision she'd opened it. Professional, dignified, victorious. Mr. Green, I expect that public apology posted within 6 hours. The bias training program proposal on my desk within a week. And Mr. Smith, she looked directly at John, clean out your desk. The crowd parted as Tina walked toward the exit. Victoria and her legal team followed like a presidential entourage. Sophia ended her live stream with 38,000 viewers, the most watched banking discrimination incident in social media history. But the real story was just beginning. The 32nd floor of Global Financial Tower housed the bank's Executive Crisis Management Center. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Capital City's financial district. Today, those windows felt like prison bars. Bank President Sarah Foster sat at the head of a conference table designed to intimidate. 20-year banking veteran, MBA from a top business school. She'd weathered financial crises, regulatory investigations, and hostile takeovers. But she'd never faced a discrimination scandal that had generated 60,000 social media views in 2 hours. Situation report, Foster demanded. Corporate Communications Director James Miller, no relation to Robert, opened his laptop. The data was catastrophic. #Global Financial Racism is trending in 12 cities. 47 news outlets have picked up the story. Our customer service lines are jammed with complaint calls. Legal counsel Rebecca Davis added her analysis. The discrimination case is airtight. Multiple witnesses, video evidence from 6 angles, live social media documentation. What's our exposure? Foster asked. Conservative estimate, $5 million in liquidated damages per their contract. Punitive damages could reach 8 figures. Legal fees, minimum $2 million. Chief Financial Officer David Chen ran the numbers in real time. If Miller and Company terminates their relationship, we're looking at immediate loss of $847 million in deposits. $23.4 million annual fee revenue disappears. Foster rubbed her temples. In 2 hours, a senior teller's prejudice had created the bank's worst public relations nightmare in decades. Where are WE with Dr. Miller now? She's en route with her legal team, Martinez reported. Full corporate crisis response requested. At 3:47 p.m., elevator doors opened. TO revealed Tina Miller, flanked by Victoria Hayes and 3 associates. They moved with the confidence of people who held all the leverage. Foster stood professionally. Dr. Miller, I'm Sarah Foster, bank president. I apologize for bringing you UP here under these circumstances. The circumstances were created by your employees, Tina replied calmly. I'm here to discuss resolution. They settled around the conference table. Foster's team on one side, Miller and CO on the other. The dynamic was clear. Corporate damage control versus justified anger. Victoria opened her briefcase and withdrew a tablet. Before we begin, Mrs. Foster, are you familiar with Miller and CO? Foster nodded. I've reviewed your account portfolio. Substantial relationship. Define substantial, Victoria requested. $847 million in deposits. $23.4 million annual fee generation. Correct. Now, let me provide context you may not have. Patricia tapped her tablet. A presentation appeared on the conference room's wall display. Miller and Company founded 2013. Annual revenue $4.2 billion. Government contracts spanning 15 countries. Private sector clients include Fortune 500 companies. Foster's face grew pale as the scope became clear. Dr. Miller sits on 4 corporate boards, advisory positions with 3 federal agencies, University Business School guest lecturer. Her economic influence extends far beyond your bank. The room fell silent, except for the hum of air conditioning and distant traffic. This morning's discrimination wasn't just against a customer, Victoria continued. It was against one of the most influential business leaders in America, caught on video, broadcast to 60,000 people. Foster cleared her throat. Dr. Miller, what would constitute appropriate resolution? Tina leaned forward. Her voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to boardroom negotiations. 3 non-negotiables. Public apology, filmed, posted on all bank channels within 6 hours. Immediate termination of discriminatory staff. Mandatory bias training, all branches, external oversight. And if we agree, Miller and Company considers this resolved. We maintain our banking relationship. We might even expand it. Victoria slid contract termination papers across the table. If not, these take effect at midnight. All accounts transferred to Citibank. All relationships severed. Foster's CFO ran rapid calculations on his laptop. The numbers were devastating. Immediate loss $847 million deposits. Annual impact $23.4 million fees. Secondary effects: competitor advantage, regulatory scrutiny. Reputation damage? Foster asked. Conservative estimate: 3 to 5% decline. Market cap loss: approximately $200 million. The mathematics of discrimination was stark. Prejudice was expensive. Foster's phone buzzed. Text message from the chairman of the board: "Fix this now. Whatever it takes." The pressure was mounting from above, below, all directions. Legal counsel Davis interjected. "Dr. Miller, regarding the terminations, we have employment law considerations, due process requirements." Victoria smiled coldly. "Ms. Davis, you have video evidence of blatant discrimination. Due process doesn't protect employees who violate civil rights." She was right. The legal exposure was enormous. Foster made the calculation every corporate executive learns: short-term pain versus long-term destruction. "Dr. Miller, Global Financial Bank accepts your terms." The announcement came with corporate finality. Decisions made, consequences accepted. Mr. Smith will be terminated immediately. Ms. Jenkins suspended pending investigation. Mr. Green receives formal reprimand and mandatory retraining supervision. Tina nodded professionally. "Acceptable. The public apology scripted by our communications team, approved by yours, posted within 6 hours on all bank channels. Bias training program, third-party vendor, monthly monitoring, annual reporting to Miller & Company board." Victoria documented every commitment. Timeline for implementation: 30 days maximum. Full compliance reporting quarterly. The corporate machinery was engaging. Policies would change. Procedures would be rewritten. Training would be mandated. All because a senior teller couldn't see past skin color. Foster's assistant entered with urgent updates. "Ma'am, the story's been picked up by major news networks. Social media mentions approaching 100,000. The situation was achieving national attention. Global Financial Bank was becoming a case study in corporate discrimination." "Dr. Miller," Foster said carefully, "is there anything else we can do to demonstrate our commitment to change?" Tina considered the question. "Actually, yes. $50 million commitment to community development. Small business loans for minority entrepreneurs, administered through Miller & Co. Foundation." The number was significant but manageable. Community investment tax benefits would offset much of the cost, and IT would generate positive publicity to counter the discrimination narrative. "Agreed," Foster said without hesitation. Victoria finalized the documentation: termination agreements, policy changes, financial commitments, training protocols. The discrimination incident was becoming systemic transformation. "One final item," Tina said: "quarterly diversity reporting, public disclosure, measurable progress on minority hiring and promotion." Foster nodded. Transparency commitment accepted. The meeting concluded with corporate handshakes and legal documentation. 2 hours of discrimination had generated months of institutional change. As they left the conference room, Victoria murmured to Tina, $67 million resolution. $5 million liquidated damages, $50 million community investment, $12 million estimated implementation costs. "Worth every penny," Tina replied, "if it prevents other people from experiencing what happened today." The elevator descended 32 floors, from corporate boardroom back to street level, from damage control back to real world. But the impact would ripple through the banking industry for years. At 5:23 p.m., security guard Mark Davis escorted John Smith to his desk. The walk of shame through Global Financial's lobby drew stares from customers and colleagues alike. "Personal items only," Davis instructed. "Corporate property stays here." John's hands shook as he packed family photos and a coffee mug. 3 years of employment ending in disgrace. His professional profile would need creative explanation. Future job interviews would require careful narrative construction. Sophia Ramirez was there, phone recording. Her afternoon live stream had become the most watched banking incident in social media history. 120,000 total viewers across platforms. Former Global Financial employee John Smith, she narrated, being terminated for discriminating against Dr. Tina Miller. The comments were brutal but justified. Corporate consequences for individual prejudice. Sarah Jenkins faced different punishment: suspended pending investigation, mandatory bias training, demotion to associate manager. Her 20-year career trajectory derailed by one afternoon of discrimination. Thomas Green retained his position, but with a permanent scarlet letter, formal reprimand in his personnel file, bias training supervision responsibilities. His promotion prospects evaporated. At 6:15 p.m., Sarah Foster appeared in a professionally produced video, posted across all global financial media channels. "I'm Sarah Foster, president of Global Financial Bank. Today, we failed Dr. Tina Miller and our own values. Our employees treated a valued customer with discrimination that has no place in banking or society." The video had been scripted by corporate communications, approved by Miller & Co.'s legal team. Every word calculated for maximum impact and minimum legal exposure. Global Financial Bank sincerely apologizes to Dr. Miller. "We are implementing immediate changes to ensure this never happens again." Foster outlined the systemic reforms: bias training for all employees, third-party monitoring, diversity reporting, community investment commitment. The video generated mixed reactions. Some praised corporate accountability, others criticized performative responses, but it demonstrated institutional consequences for discrimination. Sophia's original live stream was shared 47,000 times. #Global Financial Racism trended in 26 cities. The incident became a case study in viral social justice. 3 weeks later, the transformation was measurable. Global Financial hired Equity Solutions Inc. for comprehensive bias training. All 1,500 employees would complete 40 hours of education over 6 months. The curriculum covered unconscious bias, cultural competency, customer service equity, role-playing exercises, video analysis, sensitivity workshops. Most importantly, anonymous reporting systems were implemented. Customers could report discrimination through a mobile app, website, or phone hotline. Third-party monitoring ensured complaints received serious investigation. The Dignity Banking Initiative, launched with $50 million in community development funding, small business loans for minority entrepreneurs, home ownership programs for underserved communities, scholarship funds for banking students from diverse backgrounds. Miller & Company administered the programs through their existing foundation infrastructure. Tina personally reviewed applications and approved funding decisions. The first recipient was Michael Jones, African-American veteran seeking to open an automotive repair shop. Previous loan applications had been rejected by 3 banks. Global Financial approved $200,000 in 36 hours. "Dr. Miller turned my discrimination experience into opportunity for others," Michael told local media. That's real leadership. The ripple effects extended beyond Global Financial. 12 other major banks adopted similar bias training programs. The National Banking Association updated discrimination reporting guidelines. University Business School requested permission to develop case study materials. The incident became required reading in corporate ethics courses. Dr. Miller was invited to speak at the National Banking Conference. Her presentation, Dignity and Financial Services, drew standing ovations from 1,500 industry leaders. "Real power isn't about destruction," she told the audience. "It's about construction. Today's discrimination becomes tomorrow's systemic change when courage meets strategy." 6 months after the incident, Global Financial's transformation was statistically significant. Bias complaints dropped 87%. Employee satisfaction scores increased 34% among minority staff. Customer acquisition from diverse communities increased 56%. The Dignity Banking Initiative attracted new business worth $120 million in deposits. Miller & Company expanded their relationship to $1.2 billion across investment, commercial, and private banking services. Corporate stock price recovered completely within 90 days. The discrimination incident became a corporate transformation story. Sophia Ramirez leveraged her viral fame into a social media consulting business. She specialized in documenting workplace discrimination and corporate accountability campaigns. Her Black Truth following had grown to 200,000. The original Global Financial video had been viewed 2.3 million times across all platforms. "Dr. Miller changed my life," Sophia told her own followers. One moment of courage created ripple effects we're still seeing today. The Federal Reserve had cited Global Financial's case in new discrimination prevention guidelines. 12 major banks adopted similar bias training programs. The National Banking Association updated industry standards. University Business School's case study was taught in 47 universities. Miller versus Global Financial, Corporate Discrimination and Institutional Change, became required reading in business ethics courses. Robert Miller had testified before Congress about banking discrimination. The incident he witnessed became evidence in federal hearings on financial services bias. Real change happens when individuals refuse to accept institutional prejudice, he told the Senate Banking Committee. Global Financial's transformation continued accelerating. The Dignity Banking Initiative had approved 450 small business loans worth $87 million. Minority business creation increased 23% in their market areas. Employee diversity metrics improved dramatically. Minority hiring increased 42%. Promotion rates reached statistical parity across demographic groups. The anonymous reporting app processed 237 complaints in 18 months. Serious discrimination cases dropped to zero after comprehensive bias training implementation. Dr. Miller mentored 12 minority entrepreneurs through the banking program. Michael Jones's automotive shop employed 18 people and generated $1.2 million in annual revenue. She didn't just fight discrimination, Michael explained to reporters. She turned it into opportunity for people like me. The acquisition deal that triggered the crisis had succeeded beyond expectations. Miller & Co.'s tech startup created 800 jobs, 68% filled by minority candidates. Corporate revenue reached $4.8 billion. Government contracts expanded to 4 continents. Dr. Miller was named to a prominent business magazine's list of most powerful women in business, but she measured success differently. Power isn't about what you can destroy, she reflected in interviews. It's about what you choose to build. The banking industry's culture had shifted measurably. Discrimination training became standard practice. Anonymous reporting systems were implemented widely. Third-party monitoring increased accountability. These touching stories of transformation remind us that individual courage can drive systemic change. When people refuse to accept institutional prejudice, entire industries evolve. Dr. Miller's quiet power had dismantled discrimination through strategic action rather than destructive retaliation. Her response proved that dignity and data could overcome prejudice and policy. Real-life stories like this happen more often than we realize. Black stories of professional excellence challenging systemic bias. Life stories of people choosing construction over destruction. Have you witnessed discrimination in your workplace, your community, your daily life? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else to choose courage over silence. Hit that subscribe button for more real-life stories of people who transformed injustice into institutional change. Share this video because these touching stories of quiet power need to reach everyone fighting for dignity in their daily lives. Together, we can ensure that discrimination becomes too expensive for any institution to afford. Black Truth.